All right, I'm gonna reload for M1 Garand 30-06. This is some of the Greek brass military surplus. Could tell that's been shot through a Garand. First thing I'm gonna do is decap. I used to have this used to be a universal sizer and decapper. The decapping pin busted off. Avoid the military surplus that have the red primers. They will bust your decappers. So I bought a universal decapper, and I'm just going to go through and decap them all. And so it'll be simple as that. Okay, so they've all been decapped. I'm going to use some of this Hornady case lube and get them all lubed up. So I'll spray pretty much all sides of them. I'll turn this around. I like to pull them out of that tray so that they so I get the full size, full length of the casing, I should say. So those are good. I'll let them dry for a couple minutes and then I'll size them. Okay, so we're ready to size them now. You can see this one. This one's chewed up pretty good. But I'm just using a Lee classic turret. I've had it for about 15 years. This is the three die set that I got. You got the full length sizer. It used to be a decapper. I need to buy another pin for it, so we'll do that as well. Bullet seeder, and then I got the universal crimp over here. I'll put a light crimp on these M1s. Nice press, fine for this. It does deflect just a little bit. Not exactly shooting a precision rifle here in the M1 Garand, but it's done well for me. So we'll run each one through like this, and there it be. So I'll do that for the rest of these, and then we'll see where we're at in terms of trimming. Okay, so these are all sized. As you can see, it fixed a lot of the deformities caused by the Garand that can be harsh on cases when they're ejecting them. So now we got to check our length. If you have you're going to need a good data book. And you're going to want to load specific for the M1 Garand rather than commercial 30-06. So in this case, we want the case trim length to 2.484 inches. And what I'm kind of seeing is about 2.5. So we're going to need to trim these. And I have a Forester trimmer. I have a perfect brass set up for 2.487, and I've adjusted that to that with those Allen wrenches. And the max trim length is 2.494, so we want to be somewhere in the middle. I don't want to over trim them, and so that's what I'm going to target. So with this particular trimmer, it's a hand trimmer. And this blade it's 13 years old, but it still does pretty good. It's been doing mostly 223s. So I'm just going to keep going and taking things off until I can hear that screw hit like that. And now I know it's trimmed correctly, and I'll move on to the next one. So as you can see, the trimming did well, and the length of the cases is 2.485, which is ideal. Okay, we're done trimming them, and as you can see, when you trim them, you create an edge here. So we're going to need to buff that, and also inside the primer, it's still pretty rough from the last shot. Also with the military brass, there's a crimp for machine guns that we're going to need to take out of there. So you can do this by hand, and all these tools you can buy by hand, but this will take care of the crimp that I was just talking about. This will polish the primer pocket. This will polish it further. This will take care of the inside edge, and this will take care of the outside edge where we trimmed. So this is a Lyman case prep machine. I really dislike case prep. Monotonous, but you got to do it. So you can see the pieces coming off there. I'm going to take off the crimp. I'm going to polish it a little bit. I'm going to do the same. You can see inside how nice that looks now. And I'm going to hit the inside a few turns, hit the outside a few turns, and this brass is ready to be loaded with the exception of being tumbled. So I'm going to do the rest of these and then jump into a tumbler. Okay, here's the tumbler. I have the brass in there. I'm going to put in there this Zilla Desert Blend walnut shells. You can find this at a pet store for lizards. If you buy online that which is made for tumbling ammo, you'll pay a lot more. But I'm going to tumble this for a couple hours. I am not going to put it in another tumbler to get the media out. I'm simply going to turn it inverted over this bucket and shake it vigorously until all the media is out. So that's the last step before we're ready to load, and time to tumble. Okay, so here's the tumbler, and I do it in a different room because of the dust, but I'm gonna let this go for a couple hours, and then like I said, I'll just simply unplug it and turn it over a bucket and shake out all the media. We are done tumbling, and they came out pretty good. Not bad for military surplus. So we're going to get ready to load these. And getting back to our data book, make sure that you have a good data book. This is the Hornady one. There's several good ones out there. This, again, is specific to the M1 Garand. And I'm going to be using a 168 grain boat tail hollow point. So I'm going to use this chart here. For me, what's worked the best has been this particular powder, IMR 4895. It's a popular one amongst the Garand shooters. It's a burn rate similar to Varget. Varget is also good, but there's several options you'll want to try. At about the max load, I'm going to be doing 47 grains of IMR 4895, and that chronographs right around 2,600 feet per second. For the primer, I'm using Winchester large rifle primers. No real reason other than they've always worked for me. There's some good CCI options as well. There's the bullet I told you about. That's 168 grain. I'm loading this M1 Garand for matches. This particular bullet and load has worked well for me out to 600 yards. I've also shot really well with this 150 grain option. This is also a Hornady. The load is slightly different, but I've always shot the best with these. So we'll get this tray loaded up, and the first thing we'll do is put these primers in. Okay, so now we're going to put in our primers, and there's several different ways to do this one. I've kind of landed on this option. It's inherent in the press, and you basically will just drop a primer down in there, put your case in like so, and then just simply put the press down, and there's a nice primer. There's also hand options as well. And so I'm going to put primers in these first and then fill them up with powder. If I had a option for a pour through, I could do it all in one step. I could put the primer in, I could rotate it over to the pour through, put the powder in, seat the bullet, crimp the bullet, and then I would be done. But I don't, so we're going to do it with a funnel on the tray, and that'll work just fine. Well, we're ready to put powder in the casings we just finished putting primers in. So they all have a primer. I'm not doing a full 50. I'm just rounding out that box. So I think we're doing 24. This is the particular powder dispenser I use. Has a scale built into it. Several out there. You definitely will need a scale. Digital, manual. You can go as expensive as you like or as easy as you like, simple as you like. This one I really enjoy. We're going to be putting 47 grains in. I can put that in, hit the dispense button, and there it goes. And it'll slow down to a trickle as it gets close, and it does its best. But sometimes, especially when you're working with a powder like this, you might go a little over. As long as I'm within 1 or 2 tenths, I'm just going to throw it in there. Again, this is not a precision rifle. This is an M1. After each load, it'll say which count that is. And so as I work through pouring these in, I want to keep track on that. So I'll put one in there. And then as you see, as soon as I put that tray down, it'll automatically go to the next one. I'll slide my funnel over, and when it's done dispensing, it will show count 2. So I always want to make sure that it does that. So you can see it working with that log powder, it threw a little more in. So I'll probably manually adjust that back. But I'll go ahead and put my powder in now. So we're ready to put the finishing touches on these. They all have powder in them. I verified that. We're going to seat our bullets now. I simply just put it in there like so, and this is the bullet seating die. I'll go in here, and as I get started, I won't check every one. Once I make sure I'm good, I'm going to check my overall length. So this is a little long, so I'm going to tweak the length of the bullet, or the old cartridge overall length that's in your data book. I'm shooting for 3.24, and we're close enough there. So I'm going to let that ride. I'm going to put a crimp on. And there's the finished cartridge. So I'll keep going, and I'll check that overall length from time to time to make sure we're good. And you'll find that in your data book. COL is cartridge overall length. So I'll finish these up and we'll be done. Okay, we're done. Just loaded up the final of these 24. So that'll round out this box here. And if you have any questions, send them my way. I actually made this video for a friend who wants to get into reloading for his M1 Garand. And I thought, well, might as well just post it. So if you have any comments, send them my way. And I'll be using these at Camp Perry this summer. Hope to see you there.